Have you ever sat by yourself and suddenly felt like time flew by? The children have grown up. The house used to be crowded. Now it's more often quiet. The work is long done, but the heart still asks, who am I now? What can I still give? At 60, 65, or 70, life starts to feel different. The body slows down, social circles narrow. But deep inside, there is still a desire to feel alive, to feel meaningful. Maybe you don't want to be young again, but you want one thing, to find peace and come home to yourself. At 60, things change. Children start to get busy with their own lives. The body is not as strong as it used to be, and the days are quieter than usual. There's a sense of emptiness that's hard to explain. It's as if the world is constantly moving, but we're left in one corner, just a spectator. And sometimes the question arises, does my life still matter? Then I came across the story of a woman named Layla Lieberman. She was 93 years old. She lives alone in a modest house in New Jersey, no longer working, no longer having a large family living with her. But from a small window in her kitchen, she writes every morning about life, about memories, and about the little things that keep her grateful. During a conversation, Layla said quietly, "The biggest challenge is not loss. It's how we choose to live afterward." Her words were simple, but they felt like a hug. Not because she was trying to comfort, but because she was speaking from the same place. A place where we've all felt alone, felt tired, felt unneeded. And that's where we start, from the voice of an elderly person who doesn't want to teach, doesn't want to patronize, but just wants to share something that might accompany us today. Layla had lost her husband at the age of 68. They had been married for almost 5 decades. After his departure, the house felt strange. The photos on the walls seemed to speak, but no longer answered. "I didn't know what to do," she says. "Every morning I just sat and waited for the day to pass." And that's natural. Loss in old age feels different. It's not just losing a partner, but also a routine, a place to share, even an identity. But Layla is slowly finding something, not through big changes, but through simple things: rearranging the closet, watering the plants, writing 3 sentences every morning. It's not about getting up. It's about not forcing myself and letting the small days rebuild my life, she says. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It's making room for a new life, even if we don't yet know what it will look like. Many of us at 60 or 70 feel we've lived our best years. But what if the best times are not something we experienced in the past, but something we discovered when we dared to be present in the present? After 40 years of working, Layla Lieberman woke up one morning without an alarm. No bus to catch, no meetings, no tasks, just silence and a cup of coffee. She says, "At first I thought it was freedom, but the first days felt empty, and that's natural. Many people feel the same way after retirement, not because they lose their job, but because they lose their routine, losing the sense of being needed." But Layla made an important decision. She changed her question from, "What else can I do?" to, "What can I start today?" Because retirement is not the end. It can be the most honest start in life, the beginning of getting to know yourself without the label of work, the beginning of pursuing something not because of demands, but because of a calling. At 60, many people start counting down. Days feel slow, mornings come without a plan, and nights filled only with television and memories. But life never really stops unless we decide to stop living. Layla once said, "Happiness in old age is not about what we have, but about what we are still grateful for every day." At 93, she still teaches art, not because she has to, but because it makes her feel alive. Many seniors think, "It's too late for me to start something new." But Layla proves age is only a number if the heart remains open to learning. She says, "Many of my friends have stopped, sitting still, waiting for time. But I knew once I stopped sharing, I would start to disappear. That sentence is simple, but profound. And from there we know, maybe what we need is not a long life, but a life that remains meaningful. Layla once said, "What I miss is not the work itself, but the sense of being needed." After retirement, many people lose something invisible: purpose. In the past, we woke up early because someone was waiting for us. There were students, there was a report, there were clients, there was a schedule. Now, it's quiet. No one is demanding, and secretly, no one is waiting either. This is what slowly erodes the spirit. It's not the body that weakens first, but the direction of life that blurs. Layla realized she had to create that sense of need herself, not from outside, but from within. She started with small things, helping neighbors, writing for the community, being a storyteller for others. And from there, the feeling came back. I am still useful. I can still give. And maybe that's what we all need to know, that life is not about how busy we are, but how meaningful our presence is, even in simplicity. Every morning, Layla sits at her wooden desk, facing the window. She writes. Sometimes it's a letter to her granddaughter. Sometimes it's just a short note about what she's grateful for that day. After that, she reads the newspaper, not to follow the news, but to practice focus and keep her curiosity alive. Her day is simple, but the impact is real. Layla stays sharp. Her memory is strong. She can recount events from years ago in surprising detail. Neuroscience studies prove that our brain never stops changing. As long as we give it stimulation, reading, writing, learning new things, the brain cells keep forming new connections. And it doesn't have to be anything big. One page of a book, one crossword puzzle, one conversation that sparks curiosity. It's enough to turn on your brain today. Maybe you're thinking, I'm too old to start learning, but Layla believes that now is the best time, because we no longer chase time. We fill it. Layla doesn't live with her children, but every week she has a regular schedule to meet neighbors, call old friends, or just chat with the clerk at the grocery store. She says, a 5-minute chat can warm your heart all day. And it turns out it's not just a feeling. A longitudinal Harvard study spanning more than 80 years found something surprising. Warm social relationships determine long-term quality of life more than cholesterol levels or income. In fact, the brains of people who stay social tend to age more slowly, sharper, more emotionally stable. Unfortunately, as we get older, we often withdraw because we don't want to be a bother, because we feel irrelevant, or simply because no one invited us first. But today, ask yourself, who is one person you could say hello to? One phone call, one text message. Because sometimes, it's not the medicine that saves the heart, it's the greeting. Try this right now. Grab your address book or old contacts on your phone. Choose one name. Send a simple message. Hi, how are you? No need to be long. What's important? Sincere. You might be surprised how one small message can open a long, closed door of warmth. Layla once said quietly, "The hardest thing about getting old is not the wrinkles on your face. It's the loneliness of the long nights. After the sun goes down and the house goes quiet, loneliness can come uninvited, not because there is no one, but because no one really understands. And that's natural. At 60, Met is 70 years old. Many changes come at once. Children move out, spouses may be gone, or peers start passing away one by one. But what makes the difference is how we respond. Layla didn't wait for someone to come knocking on her door. She chose to open the door first. She joined reading clubs, even though she had to walk. She attended recitations, even though she was sometimes alone. She greets neighbors, delivers food, or sits with women in the park, because she believes sometimes we don't need answers, we just need company. Loneliness cannot always be avoided, but you can start making room for presence, albeit slowly. Tomorrow morning, try starting the day with one small intention. Say hello to the first person you see. It could be your neighbor, or anyone passing by, or your grandchild on the phone. Don't think about the return. Do it because you want to share your warmth, not wait for a reply. Sometimes, a simple hello can open the door to a warm conversation, and from a simple conversation, a lonely heart can be warmed again. Layla once said, with sad eyes, "The older I get, the more often I have to say goodbye." One by one, her old friends passed away. Youthful friends, co-workers, even neighbors who used to share apple pies in the fall. Loss is real, and there was no easy way to get through it. But Layla didn't let herself drown in sadness. She writes about the memories, about the lessons of those who have gone. She told stories to the young people who sat listening, sometimes just one person, but she told stories nonetheless. They may be gone, he says, but their stories live on through my mouth. There is something we can leave behind, even when we are no longer in this world. Stories, value, small acts of kindness that carry on for generations after us. Today, you can start. Write down one life lesson in a notebook. Tell one precious moment to a grandchild, or record your voice, reading a letter to your child someday. Let time go by, but let your life leave a mark, not just a birth and death date on a tombstone, but a legacy that feels warm and lives on in the hearts of those you love. Many people think, if you have enough money, you'll have a peaceful old age. But Layla had a different view. She lives a simple life. She doesn't have many assets. But whenever asked, she just smiles and says, "I'm not rich, but I have enough, and that makes me peaceful." She knows how to enjoy hot tea without feeling the need to go to an expensive cafe. She plants flowers on her small balcony, not because it's trendy, but because it makes her heart light. And she prefers honest conversations with neighbors to expensive big-screen televisions. When we keep chasing more, we forget to be grateful for what we have. And at 60, 70 years old and above, it's not the contents of the wallet that are most comforting, but the contents of the heart. Layla reminds us that peace doesn't come from a number in your bank account, but from a sense of sufficiency, a sense of connection, and a sense of being loved. Today, think about it. What simple things can you be grateful for, but have been missing? Sometimes, just by saying thank you deeply with gratitude, your heart-soul feels more at ease. Layla once said, "I held on to my anger for too long, and as it turned out, no one benefited, including myself." She is now 93 years old, but it took her decades to realize that the biggest burden in old age is often not physical. It's unfinished emotions. He tells me about a relative with whom he had a disagreement, about decisions she regrets, and about the thoughtful nights that never went away. But at one point, Layla chose to let go, not because it was over, but because she wanted her life to be light. "I want to sleep well at night, and that's not possible if my heart is still full of wounds," she said. Forgiving does not mean forgetting. It's about giving yourself space to move on. Today, if you're still holding on to something, maybe it's time to let go little by little. Start with a simple sentence in your heart. "I choose peace. I deserve to live in peace. I'm not upset with someone anymore," because everyone has their own view. Sometimes, it's not the other person who needs to be forgiven, but yourself. In her 70s, Layla once wrote one sentence in her journal, "I thought I was done learning. It turns out that life continues to teach me lessons. Even when my knees start to weaken." She learned how to use a touchscreen phone, learned how to shop online to stay independent, even tried meditation to calm her mind. Because, according to her, a brain that continues to grow will continue to live. "I don't want to age in numbers, I want to age in wisdom," she says. And perhaps, at the age of 60, maybe 70, that's the phase where learning feels most honest. No ambition, no degrees, just wanting to know, just wanting to be better. Today you can start something. One page of a book, one morning step, one conversation with grandchildren about their world. We are never too old to grow, and it's never too late to learn to love life in a new way. If you were sitting with Layla today, she would probably say gently, "Enjoy the seconds you have. Don't be too hard on yourself. Drink hot tea, hug your grandchildren, and don't be ashamed to laugh even when you're alone." Age for her is no reason to stop dreaming. She believes that as long as we are still breathing, there is still something to be grateful for and something to share. I've put off too many things, telling the truth, apologizing, saying thank you. Now I say them, even if it's only to the reflection in the window. Then she chuckles. For Leela, life doesn't have to be grand to be meaningful. Sometimes it's enough to call an old friend, writing a letter to someone who never expected to receive it, or sitting quietly in the evening light and really feeling it. Old age is certain, she says, but how we live our old days is a choice, and that choice still in your hands. If this story touches your heart, maybe it's because part of Layla's story is also in you. Maybe you too are learning to make peace with time, with loss, with shape-shifting hope. Today, before the night comes, try one small thing. Write a letter or call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe it's a child, maybe an old friend, or even yourself through the pages of a journal. Because life is not about how long we walk, but how deeply we feel each step. And if you want to be accompanied on this journey with real, warm, and meaningful stories, click subscribe and like this video. Not because of an algorithm, but because every week there will be one video that might be a small reminder that you are not alone, that life can still be beautiful, even at a young age. See you in the next video.